All right, here goes. This will be in my default, quote unquote, natural speaking voice. Well, here's the story for you. Sarah Perry was a veterinary nurse who had been working daily at an old zoo in a deserted district of the territory. All right, and this is rereading it in my target voice. Well, here's a story for you. Sarah Perry was a veterinary nurse who had been working daily at an old zoo in a deserted district of the territory. So she was very happy to start her new job at a superb private practice in the North Square near the Duke Street Tower.
The voices you just heard were of Amara. She has been in my online course, Transvocal Exploration, since it launched in September, and she has been working so hard on rehabituating her voice. I asked her to give you all a demonstration and also to tell you a bit about her experience taking my course. Take it away, Amara.
I think one of the things that this course really helped me with was providing a nice layout for all of the different aspects of voice. I had been on and off just doing voice training preliminarily in my car for like a year, where I was just making recordings and just messing around, trying to see what was working, maybe look up a few YouTube videos and like try and find just any information. But their course really helped provide like a nice structure for me, because before it was very freeform. So one of the things I realized I was missing was having a pitch range, having like a pitch range that I would then need to shift to like a range that I found appropriate for myself. I wasn't really doing that. I was so focused on like resonance and like the more biomechanical aspects in terms of your voice box and your false fold activation and all of that. I wasn't actually thinking about my pitch range. And so I think having that sort of like structure really helped, especially because in their course you can like pick and choose the things that you want to kind of focus on. It's everything's unlocked from the get-go. As well as being a part of a Discord of other trans people really helped me be able to just talk to different people and like hear their stories and share my own and just have a nice sense of community. That was something I really needed, especially because I started voice training pretty early on after like coming out and starting hormones and everything. Additionally, having different office hour times was also really nice. It was a great way to just have like a direct interface over Zoom. It was like a nice roundtable discussion where we could give feedback to Renee, and they could give us sort of like different pieces of advice. We could give each other different pieces of advice. So I definitely suggest it if you are looking to, feminize, masculinize, or neutralize your voice. They have things for all of those things. I feel like a lot of times you kind of find one or the other. So it's nice to have a more generalized like spectrum of, different. That's why it's a voice exploration. There's nothing necessarily specific to one type of voice, but more of a here's tools to help you kind of figure out where you want to fit nicely.
Emily asked, could you explain how someone would do this over time without causing vocal strain or damage? This is so interesting. So, Emily is referring to the trans vocal work that Amara has done. She's been working on feminizing her voice. And a lot of the comments in that video that she posted are asking about how do I do this safely without causing vocal strain or vocal damage. So, working with the voice is just like working with any other muscle. You have to build up endurance over time. So a lot of people get really discouraged when they first start out because they can only do it for like a minute or a minute and 30 seconds. And that's totally normal. The way that the voice is different is that the voice will compensate when some muscles become fatigued. So if you think about like curling, like a dumbbell or something, your bicep gets tired after a certain time, but once you reach the physical limit of the bicep, you just can't curl that weight anymore. Like you're done. But with the voice, once your voice becomes fatigued, your other muscles will find ways to compensate so that you can continue speaking. Now that is where vocal strain, vocal dysfunction can happen. So what I say in my courses and to all of my private students is once you reach fatigue, that's the end. You have to stop. And it can be discouraging, but you have to remember that in 2 weeks, you'll be able to go twice as long. So it's really a long game. It's about building things up slowly and about resting when we feel tired. I hope this helps. Thank you so, so much to everyone who has already registered for my new e-course, Mindful Voice Feminization. It's so exciting to launch a new course. But I have received a lot of really great questions. So I wanted to do a little frequently asked questions video just to answer some of the most frequently asked questions. Will everything be recorded? If I fall behind, can I catch up later? Everything is made in advance so that you can learn at your pace. The course is dripped over 6 weeks. So you'll get like the first module on week 1 and the second module on week 2. And that is to help prevent overload. But once you have all 6 weeks, you have them for life. So you can take 6 weeks to do the course, or you can take 6 months to do the course. You can go as long as you like. Another question I have received is this course only for trans women? So no, this course is about voice feminization. So creating what society considers a more feminine voice. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm not the gender police. And if you're a woman, you have a woman's voice. But we live in a society and I recognize that certain characteristics of the voice are coded as feminine. And so that's what I teach in the course. So yes, trans women, but lots of trans feminine, non-binary people might be interested in this course. Or maybe someone who has taken testosterone to get some of the masculinizing effects, but doesn't actually want to have a masculine voice. That person might be interested in feminizing their voice. Anyone who is interested in feminizing the voice can learn from this course. So another question I get is, how much does this course cost, and is there a money-back guarantee? So this course can be paid in full at $297 US, or it can be paid via a payment plan at 6 payments of $57. And there is a money-back guarantee. So I have a 14-day guarantee, which means you can receive about 2 modules. And if after that you decide, this isn't exactly how I want to learn, or this isn't working for me, or this isn't what I thought it would be, I'm happy to refund your registration fee. I really just want everybody to be happy, basically. The next question.
Check out the rest of the FAQ in part 2. Welcome back to FAQ part 2. Here's Renée.
The next question is, how is this course different from my last course, Transvocal Exploration? This is a little bit harder to answer. There's definitely some crossover in the material, but this course is a little bit more step-by-step. So I created the last course, Transvocal Exploration, as kind of a reference for all things vocal exploration. So no matter your gender, whether you were modifying your voice to be more masculine or feminine or somewhere in between, everybody could get something from that course. And it was all the information in bulk. Like, you kind of had to use it as a reference. Whereas this course, it's dripped out over 6 weeks. It's a little bit more step by step. I definitely have outlined like the process a little bit more clearly in this course. It's also more colorful and more beautiful. So I created slides for every lesson in this course, whereas I didn't do that in TVE. And there's a companion workbook. The biggest difference, of course, is that mindful voice feminization is only about voice feminization. So we're not covering any of the masculinization exercises, and we spend a lot more time going into the feminization exercises. It's like a more advanced version of the exercises for feminization that were in TVE. So there you go. And the last question I received is there any one-on-one time with me? So this course, as you know, is evergreen. It's totally pre-recorded. You can do it completely on your own. But what do I do if I need a little one-on-one time with a professional, with a teacher? So with my courses, so this course and my last course, all my students have access to my once monthly live office hour. So this is a Zoom call where you can come in and you can get some feedback from me, or you can get some feedback from your peers. And that is always available via Zoom. It's not recorded, so if you want privacy or you don't want your face to be seen by others, you can come in and just stay off camera. And I never record the calls. I do, after the call, record a summary of the call so that I can share it with everyone in the course. So if you can't make it, you can watch the summary. And I also have a peer-to-peer Discord server. So if you're having a little trouble and you need a little bit of individual attention, there are so many people in the Discord server who can help you out with your issues, because they might be going through the exact same thing. If you have other questions, please leave them in the chat and I will definitely answer those. And if you want more information about this course, you know where to go. The link in my bio. Hello! So, as you may or may not know, registration for my new e-course, Mindful Voice Feminization, is now open. And so I thought I would take this opportunity to give you a little bit of a walkthrough of what the course looks like behind the scenes in case you're wondering about that before you register. So this right here is what the course looks like when you first log in. So if it's your first time, you'll see a big button here that says Start Course. After you've taken a few of the lessons, this button will change to say Resume Course. Now, safety is extremely important to me. So on every page, there is a quick exit button here. There's also one here. And this will take you away from this browser and bring you to Google. When you first get the course, you will only see the introductory module and week 1, self-care, developing awareness, and goal setting, because week 2 and 3 and the subsequent weeks are dripped out slowly 1 week at a time. So let's just take a look at what the first module looks like. So here we are in week 1, self-care, developing awareness, and goal setting. And you can see that we've got it broken into 5 lessons. So I call this a module and I call each video a lesson. So if we go into the first lesson, you can see that we have a video here. Now, I usually will put all the relevant information summarized here in the course notes. And then below that, I have the resources mentioned in the video. So everything is like really readily available. And then below that, I have a transcript of the video. If you look down here, you will see that there is a little MP3 to download. So if you just want to listen to the course, you can download the MP3s. And here are the slides to week 1. So I'm just going to play this video here. So the sound's off right now, but you can see it's basically what you're seeing now, me and my slides. So I'll just scroll ahead. So here we go. I'm just chatting away. There's lots of beautiful slides. This is just the intro. But what I want to show you is that you can easily caption the videos by clicking the CC button and then choosing English, and that puts the captions on your screen. But what I really love about the captions on this platform, Kajabi, is that you can search the captions for a particular word. So if you know there was a word that you're trying to find or a place in the video and you're not sure, you can always search that here. So let me actually just pause that. So if I search self-care, there are 9 instances, and I can scroll through and find those instances and then click on one and it'll take me to that place in the video. So I think that's a really cool feature. You can make things full screen. You can quickly navigate away to another module. And then when you've completed it, you just mark it as complete, or it will mark it as complete automatically. And then when you go back to the module, you'll see that you'll get a check mark when you completed it. So there are 42 lessons in total, lots of material to dive into. And yeah, that's a back-end look of what the course will look like. So if you're interested in this material, you want to check it out, I highly recommend registering before the course officially comes out on July 1st, because that way you'll get a physical copy of the companion workbook that comes with this course. So there we have it. Oh, it's so exciting. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will be sure to answer them as quickly as I can. It's a little taboo to talk about grief and hormone replacement therapy in the trans community. We're already fighting for our lives and working hard every day to gain acceptance. It feels like a major transgression to imply that there might be some doubts along the path to medical transition. However, it has been the experience of some of my students on testosterone that even if the overall feeling of taking HRT is one of joy and relief, that there can still be some grief around the loss of their old pre-T voice, even if they adore their new post-T voice, especially if they're a voice professional of some kind, like a singer. So if you fit this description, let's unpack some of these feelings. This type of grief can feel particularly painful because you might believe that your action, taking T, is what caused this loss. And yes, strictly speaking, this is true. However, I think it's important to zoom out and look at the voice for what it is, a malleable and ever-changing thing that will change drastically throughout your life. Your voice will change naturally with age, illness, disability, even big feelings can have an effect on how we use our voice. Voice changes are inevitable, and the voice you loved before testosterone was always a temporary one. I probably don't need to tell you what the consequences of not taking T can be: depression, anxiety, or worse. Hormones are a life-saving treatment for trans people, even when they might cause some feelings of grief. Grief can be a feeling that we experience and move through, but the crushing weight of daily dysphoria that some people experience before taking testosterone might not go away without hormones. The great thing about the voice is that it can be retrained. There are plenty of people with endogenous testosterone, that's the from the body kind, who are singers before puberty and went through the same thing in their teen years that you might be going through now later in life. Now that your voice is different, you have to work to retrain the voice and retrain the brain to sing in the most efficient way possible. But you will get through this difficult time and come out the other side, not with the same vocal abilities you had before, but with new ones. Is this something that you've experienced before? Let me know in the comments. This is a comment that was left on my voice grief and testosterone video, and Ria says, I have completely lost my head voice / falsetto. How do I find it again? So this is a really common thing that happens to a lot of people who go on testosterone, to a lot of people who experience a testosterone puberty, whether it's from endogenous testosterone or exogenous testosterone. So in order to answer this question, we kind of have to understand how different voice types are made and how the vocal folds work. So let's just take a quick peek at the vocal folds. So this is a drawing that I have of the vocal folds. And you can think of this as if you were looking like at your neck from behind. That's what the vocal folds would look like. So basically your air comes up here through your windpipe, your trachea, through your larynx, and it encounters your vocal folds. Now, when we look at these things from like a top-down perspective, we tend to think of them as just like these strings, these cords are called the vocal cords sometimes, but they're actually this like fatty muscle tissue situation. So when air comes up from your trachea, from your lungs, it encounters your vocal folds and it draws them together and they end up waving. So they vibrate, but it's like a wave. So let me just make myself bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. So air comes up, it meets your vocal folds, and it causes them to wave like this. So it draws the vocal folds together and they wave. And that is the vibration. And that happens like, you know, if you're singing an A, so if you're singing like an A, that would sound like, and that would be this vibration 440 times per second. So it's very fast. Now, there are different voice types. There's the head voice and the chest voice. So when I'm talking about chest voice, I'm talking about the one I'm using now, like the really common speaking voice. And the head voice, it's that high voice. So that was what Ria was talking about losing. So when we're making our chest voice, the vocal folds are kind of at rest. They're in like their most relaxed position for phonation. And the whole body of the vocal fold touches from like the bottom all the way to the top. So let's just go back and look at that picture. So basically the whole body of the vocal fold touches in a wave like that. However, when you're speaking or singing in your head voice, only the top part of the vocal fold touches. So we don't get this like full wave. We just get this little tiny delicate wave. And that's because the vocal folds are stretched, they're thinner, and we get this like finer motor control. Now this actually is hard for anybody, like whether you've had a testosterone puberty or not. So for myself, when I first started learning to sing, my head voice was very airy. I would try and do a head voice sound and it would come out like, So I had to learn, like most people have to learn, how to get that good closure, that efficient closure so that the head voice can sound full and not airy. So that doesn't answer the question though, why do we lose this voice on testosterone? I want you to imagine that you have a shoebox, okay? And it's closed on the top and there's a hole in the side so you can put your hands inside the shoebox. So imagine my hands are inside of a shoebox. And there is a string in front of my hands inside the shoebox and I can't move my wrists apart, but I have to tie a little bow with my hands inside the shoebox. Okay, so that would be challenging, but if given enough time, you could learn to do that. Now, imagine you've spent time inside your shoebox, you've learned to tie the bow, and then somebody comes along and puts big winter gloves on your hands. So now they're big and thick and it's clumsier. What you might find is that when you try and tie the bow with your gloved hands, it's a lot harder. You have to learn a new method in order to get the same result. And that's essentially what's happening on testosterone. The vocal folds, which are connected at one side and can open the other way, are thickened. And now they can no longer do the thing that you expected them to be able to do. So when you go ahead and do the process of tying the bow the way you used to with your new gloved hands, it's a lot harder. However, given enough time and practice and patience, you would absolutely be able to learn how to tie that bow. Editing Renee here. I forgot to mention that next week I'm going to be putting out a video with a few exercises on how to adapt to your new testosterone voice. So stick around for that. Okay. I hope this helps. If you followed someone on social media who's taking testosterone, then you're probably very familiar with the phrase, "This is my voice 6 months on T." Folks love documenting the process because it can be so exciting and affirming to track voice masculinization on testosterone. The problem with these videos is that they can be biased towards people who have no issues adapting to their new voice. People who struggle to adapt are less likely to post their results, which can create the perception that it's not normal to struggle. But I'm here to tell you that if you have difficulty adapting to your post-T voice, that is okay. It is totally normal and you're not alone. I've seen many students just like you who have to retrain their brain to get used to their new voice. To help you get started, here are 2 exercises for adapting to your new voice on testosterone. Okay, the first exercise is a full range gliss. So we're going to start where you're comfortable and slowly gliss high and low. So this exercise is really good for experimenting and teaching your brain about where your registration events occur. Those are also called voice breaks. So I like to start in my head voice and on ah, gliss down into the chest voice and then as low as possible. So it looks like this. Right down into that glottal fry. I'm going to do it again. So if that's not comfortable for you, you can start somewhere sort of in your middle range and go up and down as you need to. Now, I don't have any perceptible voice breaks, so it might sound a little jerkier or feel like a gear shifting thing is happening. That's totally normal. Just let those registration events occur and notice them. One other thing you can do is change the vowel to see if it's easier or more challenging or if it gives you a different result. So that would look like yee. Ooh. The second exercise I'm going to show you is alternating head voice and chest voice rapidly. So the trickiest part about voice changes on testosterone is generally that the registration events, like I said before, the breaks, occur in a different place. Your brain is used to changing how you phonate at a specific spot in your voice, and T changes where that spot is. Relearning your registration events is crucial for your comfort. So an exercise that I love for learning this is rapid fire switching between head and chest on ah. This exercise is not very pretty. It sounds like an ambulance siren, but it is very silly and fun. So it sounds like this. Ah, 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 ah. You want to start somewhere high enough that you're definitely in your head voice and then flip down into that low chest voice. Ah, ah. It's not supposed to be pretty. So if you're having trouble with that rapid fire thing, you can do it slow. Just to make sure you're definitely going between head and chest. So if you're struggling to make a head voice at all, try changing the vowel or the pitch. So sometimes it's easier to make a head voice on ee or ooh. Or if that note that I'm singing is not right for you, you can start a little lower, or even higher. You might find that your mileage will vary. And be patient with yourself because these exercises can be very challenging as things can change, especially if you're early in the process of taking testosterone. Your voice is changing like on a daily basis. So please do these exercises non-judgmentally and patiently. And I'd like to give a big thank you to Peter Fullerton, who taught me some of these exercises. He's not on TikTok, but you can go ahead and check him out at peterfullerton.com. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I hope this helps. Can you believe that it has been almost 1 year since I launched my first e-course, Transvocal Exploration? That course launched on September 1st of 2021. And since then, I've created quite a few other offers that are both free and paid. And so I thought it would be a good idea to create a little guide to everything that I currently offer. Let's get started. So first, let's talk about the freebies. So I've made a couple of free things that you can go ahead and grab from my website. The first is the Trans Guide to Vocal Anatomy. So if you want to learn about all the little components that make up your wonderful and unique voice, this is the book for you. I go through in detail all about the anatomical structures of the voice, and I use non-gendered language, so you don't have to worry about reading this book and feeling gender dysphoria. So check that one out. The next is my vocal anatomy coloring book. So I made this as a companion piece to the Guide to Vocal Anatomy. And this is a great way to study those anatomical structures. So you can get the book, print it out, and color the structures, and that gives you a chance to really sit down and figure out how everything fits together. And the third freebie that I have is my Mindful Voice Feminization Journal Prompts Workbook. So my course, which I'll talk about in a second, Mindful Voice Feminization, is all about approaching your voice practice with a beginner's mindset, remaining curious throughout, and challenging negative self-talk that can impede your success. So to show you what I mean, I created a totally free journal prompts workbook made up of some of the prompts that you will find in that course. So they will help you stay present, mindful, and playful throughout your voice feminization practice. So those are my 3 freebies, and now let's talk about my e-courses. So first of all, I have something called Trans Voice Basics. So you may not have even known that I released this because I didn't do a full-fledged launch for this one. I consider it like a mini offering. So Trans Voice Basics is a 30-minute mini course, and it's an overview of all things trans voice alteration. So I created this for those who are unsure if they want to work on their voice, if they're just curious. It's a really great course if you just want to dip your toes in the water and see what all this is all about. My next course is Trans Vocal Exploration. So this was Feminization, Masculinization, and Voice Beyond the Binary. This was my very first full-length e-course. I created this one with all trans people in mind. My goal with this course was to create a resource that anyone could use to develop a voice that they love. I believe that no matter who you are, you can achieve results with this course. I cover pretty much all topics related to voice alteration. So I feel like this course is especially good for non-binary people, for gender fluid people, for people who want to just learn about how to modify the voice and they don't have a specific goal in mind. This is the course for you because it can really just open you up to what a playground trans voice alteration can be. My third course and my newest course is called Mindful Voice Feminization. So this is a 6-week course specifically for learning to feminize your speaking voice while also dealing with the emotional blocks that can come up in the process. I created this course in collaboration with a trans organization out of Toronto, and they were looking for me to create a space where trans women and trans feminine people could get their specific needs met. So it's a follow-along course. It's 6 consecutive weeks. It comes with a printable workbook. It's a lot more of a step-by-step course than my other courses. The last course that I created this year is called Learn to Teach Trans Voice Alteration in 5 weeks. So this is a teacher training course that I designed to help other voice teachers like myself learn to teach trans voice alteration. So unlike my other courses, this course is only available when I run it live. I've run it twice so far. I've had a really great experience both times, and I'm looking forward to running it again in the late fall, I would say. I made this course because I really think it's important to have a wide variety of options when it comes to private teachers. Your success as a student is really dependent upon the vibe that you and your teacher have, being able to connect really well with your teacher. So that you're more likely to connect with your teacher when there are just more people available to you. And that's why I created that course. So that was my 4 e-courses that I've made. And the last thing I want to talk about today are private lessons. So a few months ago, I started taking on private students again. I love teaching privately, and I missed it after a year off. So everyone has a different learning style, and I'm really happy that I'm able to, once again, support both people who prefer independent learning and those who prefer a little more one-on-one guidance. There's information about that on my website if you're interested in that. But also in the vein of private lessons, I created a directory of trans voice teachers that I trained during my teacher training course. So if you're interested in private lessons, but you're not interested in taking them with me, or my prices aren't right for you, I have a whole list of teachers around the world who speak languages that I don't speak, who have backgrounds that I don't have, that might be the right teacher for you. And you can also find that on my website. I'm really, really proud of that offering. That's the newest one. So now I'm sort of thinking about the future, about the next thing that I'm going to make, or I don't know. So if you have any suggestions, or if there's anything that you really want to see me focus on, I would love to get your feedback in the comments. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oh boy.
It's time for Behind the Scenes with Renée.
Okay, well, I just filmed this almost all the way through, and then realized my computer processing power was taking a shoot. So we're doing it again. HRT. By the way, Tegan, I got a new binder. What do you think? What do you think? Pretty dope, right? I'll do a few. You can intercut this. So stretches. Ooh. Meow, 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 I don't know if that's cutting. So, without further ado, here are 5. What
Frick
is that sound? Do you hear that? Just gonna let that
Frack.
street cleaner pass. Is that a street cleaner? It's raining. Why are they cleaning the streets? Weeks. You got
Fantastic. Motor vehicle.
We all know people who I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I can do this. This is not my first rodeo. I can do this. I'm really sorry, Tegan. This is a hot mess, but I can do this.